So, most recently for you all, the Forsaken Winds, you have just led an infiltration, siege, and then eventual routing of the Durastian army in Mersenia. The battle for Mersenia has been won by the United Kin army. Luckily, with you ending that note with a survival with your confrontation with the Arknight, eventually you functionally damaged thoroughly his celestial armor and eventually won you his respect, his teleportation exit, and then even his long discarded name. And then he also gave you the claim that he would not intercede in this war's ongoing challenges. He would not get in your way as you made your way to King Zavar, and gave you the indication that you should be able to beat him if you fared this well against the Arknight himself. The army at this point has this city fully secured under their ownership, and they are preparing it for staging to use as a staging ground for the coming assault of Alstenis, the capital of Creatia, in just about 4 weeks. Before you all have the opportunity to pursue any downtime activities, though, it was you were all notified by a Selethar knight that apparently Belladonian emissaries have arrived from the Eastern military and were potentially going to speak with the leadership in your army. The knight suggested that you all consider attending if you would like to. You're not sure. You haven't been given formal notice if you're invited to that meeting or requested or required. But right now it's about late afternoon in Mersenia. In the aftermath of this battle, you can see various lines of prisoners being hauled away. Your army starting to go through inventory, search for lost individuals, and Kinsalo and his crew have just let you head away from the coin houses with a bit of a reward for you all as they start handling distribution of wealth. Is there anything you guys want to do to start this afternoon?
Not jumping in to say anything, but mostly if the music is too loud on the speaker on my laptop, let me know because I've never done this before.
Can't hear it so far. You guys
Beautiful.
should be good. How are you guys feeling in the aftermath of the Arknight battle, a long warfare effort, and freeing all your allies? How are you guys looking physically, mentally?
This is same day.
Same day so far. Yep. Pretty immediate aftermath. And we'll go ahead and flick to that screen. Just to represent the city, you guys just won. And Toby, as it has been mentioned, your medallion has dulled
Cooled off.
in its vibrant, pulsing, hot energy. And its colors of teal and magenta and mauve and amber have started to kind of dull as well and dissipate.
We're all pretty beat up looking, right? Because I think most of us took damage. We're all out of spell slots, so we're pretty tired. I would want to, as Jiri, I'd want to collect some like scraps of armor, metal, because Jiri's feeling like he got his butt kicked and he needs to be more defensive. I think that's like tactics are on his mind right now of, we need to be stronger for next time. Like we're gonna face this guy again someday. So like it starts today, starts now. How are we gonna get stronger?
Any chance there were wargs in the city as part of this assault from
You did not
Durastians? No.
see any wargs, and you've noticed that though wargs and bugbear riders on wargback have not been a staple of the Durastian army at all, they seem to have been there seemed to have been some tenuous alliance made near For's Hollow due to perhaps a local den of that culture.
Gotcha. I will definitely, because I'm looking for warg armor, but I will definitely assist Jiri in any kind of scrap collecting that he's doing.
Get some right arm scraps of armor, maybe a shield or two, just some metal for Roulette and I to tinker with.
Sounds good. You guys are welcome to do so. Soldiers will make way for you as well and point you in directions of where scraps and usable harvested resources are, etc. So pretty easy endeavor for you guys to get where you need to get.
I feel like Telperion would be trying to strategize with Jiri as he's doing this, and he'd be like, that's like trying to put a ton of pennies in front of him. Like, we got to get one big thing. Like, he would just kind of be like disagreeing with your methodology and not necessarily trying to hinder you, but he would just be in strategy mode, I think.
How about Rome and Toby?
Toby turned in early. He's not planning to go meet with the Belladonian people or go out and do things. He's laying low.
Rome, Snow White style, is going to summon woodland creatures to help, like, prune her branches and, like, help her root down and heal herself.
Perfect. Now that you're not underground in that weird fire scented location, as well as the fact that it's no longer primetime winter, it's edging into spring now, and hibernation cycles are coming to a close. Flocks of small critters and wildlife are able to be gathered your way in this city.
As she takes her long rest, she is also going to switch her circle to circle of the grassland. She's not underground.
Okay. Telperion, as the night comes to a small close, or at least as the evening continues and people start to set up bonfires or makeshift housing within certain buildings that are available and start doing generic sort of camp style cookouts for different individuals throughout the city populace as well as your army, you feel a glow from your book, your spell book.
I check it out.
You do see a message that has come through from Minerva saying, Mother and I will be in attendance with the emissaries. Are you interested in joining? If not, I will relay the details to you on the morrow.
If it's tonight, I'll definitely go. Do I have the details of when and where?
If you indicate back to her, she will follow up with actual sending messages to coordinate with you and have you meet at her location.
Okay. And I'll tell the rest of the Four Winds and be like, well, I'm not going to sit that one out. Does anyone else want to go?
I'm in.
If Roulette's going, then I guess I'll go too.
I think I'll hold down the fort here.
I'll stay back with Toby.
So 3 of you in attendance. Later, you're able to approach just outside the city. You see a very large, well-maintained and surprisingly put together tent space. And as you approach it, a couple Villian beast folk guard, a large werewolf and a very lithe snow leopard tabaxi man, sort of act as defenders of that location, but see you guys in your position and allow you through. And you will be afforded entry to that space. And the 2 individuals that seem to be currently in conversation with the Aranil herself, Tenufea Loonsong, the general, now having been escorted to this location, Mathros, Telperion's father, Minerva is there, as well as Harold Keatra, High Commander Rillis, Commander Dinah, Beast King Mordecai, and Seneschal of Sky Korik. You see quite a few potent leadership individuals of this army, as well as Queen Alaya, who seems to be currently holding center stage a bit with these two strangers. You'll see two individuals talking to Alaya right now, and Minerva will intercept you three as you enter and inform you that those two individuals are Captain Vence Elland, as well as Captain Jin Taneth. The man Vence Elland looks like a rather young-looking High Elven man, perhaps even younger or similar age to Telperion, but still perhaps older than some of you, with a very dark tan, almost copper-looking complexion and perfectly preened silver hair that is swept back into a tightly braided bun. Minerva indicates that this individual is the firstborn of House Elland and second in command to Commander Callan Ursa, the High Valkyr of the Griffin Knight fleet of Belladonia's Dawn Brigade. The woman, Captain Jin Taneth, another high elf woman with different complexion, more pale alabaster skin tone, and loose hanging dark brown hair that falls in front of her shoulders as well as to mid-back. She is apparently second-born of House Taneth and sister to firstborn Commander Brynja Taneth, the High Valkyr of the Pegasus Knight fleet of Belladonia's Dawn Brigade. So two individuals of functionally Belladonia's Air Force, one representing the commander of the Griffin Knights and one representing the commander of the Pegasus Knights. They will approach you all, seeing you enter. They will make their dues with Queen Alaya and greet you all as you attend, as they seem to want to get to know everyone in the vicinity. Captain Vence Elland approaches you all and says, "Am I to understand you are the esteemed tactician, dragoon, and magus of your army?"
Yeah,
Yes,
that'd
sir.
be us.
That'd be us.
And we should hop zooms.
Oh,
Oh, it says up there. Okay, good call.
Oh, well, and also.
I believe formal introductions are in order. I am Captain Vence Elland, firstborn of House Elland and second in command to Commander Callan Ursa, High Valkyr of the Griffin Knight fleet of Belladonia's Dawn Brigade. This is Jin Taneth, second-born of House Taneth and sister to Commander Brynja Taneth, High Valkyr of the Pegasus Knight fleet of Belladonia's Dawn Brigade. We are here at the request of Commander Callan and Commander Brynja themselves, and at the tentative approval of the High Dawn Marshal Alistair Belacqua, General of the Belladonian military and the Auroran Bright Knights. Certainly to no surprise of your leadership, the Belladonian military has been carefully evaluating the ongoing and ever-shifting landscape of the Durastian occupation of Croatia. We have been discussing matters with various leadership in your army, and we represent interest among the highest leadership in the military and Senate in assessing whether your army would be receptive to diplomatic engagement, which may or may not offer opportunity for mutually beneficial arrangement, or even as far as outright alliance. Well, we have met. Will there be any more in attendance? And Queen Alaya sort of shakes her head at your indication that perhaps Rome and Toby won't attend this particular meeting. Very well. I believe we have everyone in attendance that needs to be.
Wise ones are sitting this one out.
She is also there. She's just not leading the ongoing effort. Alaya is taking front stage as sort of the ambassador of Croatia retaining their land back. they begin to go into lengthy conversations, establishing the idea that should the opportunity present itself to join together and overtake the capital city of these lands, Ostennis, which they consider the dusk jewel of fair Eridon, your army could consider adding their numbers, the Belladonian military, to your own numbers in the effort, enhancing beyond any reasonable doubt the probability of success of your army and ousting of Durast from Creatia. Should sufficient arrangements be made by respective leadership, this offer would provide various benefits to their nation's population as well as the obvious value to your army's objectives. The conversations are somewhat stuffy and full of red tape and bureaucracy and nobles playing their mental chess matches occasionally. But after about an hour and a half to 2 hours into the evening of these discussions, Queen Elia thanks them for their time and mentions that they will certainly consider and will need to discuss further internally. And Captain Vence Elend and Jin Tanith will take their leave from the tent. Ultimately, there will be some decisions that may need to be made before the true fight at Ostennis, for this could have implications on a number of levels. And seemingly, Belladonia was not quite upfront saying, we want to back you, but rather being a little squirrely in their language and offering themselves perhaps flexibility to engage with what seems to suit both parties and therefore themselves. But potentially a worthwhile alliance that could be made to overpower what is likely to be the most heavily defended location in all of Creatia that you'll be assaulting next in 4 weeks' time.
Topirian will probably think to Minerva at some point during all of this and ask, and we can do it out of character, but just like asking, like, what do we lose by doing this with them? Like, what's the cost of accepting their help?
She will think in your direction and say, I've been thinking the same thing, brother. I'm trying to puzzle out in what ways might they take advantage of us utilizing their help, or do they just see that they would gain a reliable trade partner in the future? Threat of Durastian rule would not affect their populace. I'm curious. I can't quite suss out yet to what degree they're desperate for help versus seizing opportunity. I will need to speak with Mother at length, and you're, of course, welcome in all those conversations. I'm sure all of the United Kin Army's leadership will be discussing this matter for weeks in the coming preparation.
I was going to ask the same question of Queen Elia, but of the basically saying, last we heard, and I don't know how reliable the information was, last we heard Durast was meeting with Belladonia near the Tripost.
Did that meeting happen?
Did that meeting happen? Do we know if that meeting happened? And what do you think made them choose us?
Elia will relay the information to you that according to Beast King Mordecai's intelligence arm, in the shape of shape-shifting birds mostly, they can confirm that those, not one meeting, but several meetings ongoing for weeks and weeks of time, seem to have stalled, if not been fully rebuffed. But it seems that those were certainly never formalized, and there is still a presence at the Tripost by both armies' representatives. So it does appear that Belladonia is, playing both sides a little bit, seeing what opportunities might best suit them, or if they have a more direct ambition and intention, they're certainly shrouding it enough by discussing with both sides of the conflict.
Whose mind do I need to read to figure this out?
Jin.
She know I read her
But that meeting begins to come to a close. And before you all step away, with whatever sort of small scale RP, if you want, conversations with any of the individuals in this space, Queen Elia herself will come up to each of you three in attendance and shake each of your hands and thank you extensively for your efforts and bravery here. And we'll offer the information that it is not very infrequently does an hour pass without hearing about an exploit of one of our Forsaken Winds officers. You are heavily known throughout the army with nothing bad to say. You are beacons of morale for this army. Not only the catalysts for the army's existence in the first place, but continues to emphasize how she is in your debt.
I think in response to some point of that, I'll just say, maybe in the future we should make our partnership a little more formal then.
I am certainly amenable to that. I have already given a stray mention to our fair dragoon here, Miss Tinkerton, that I am quite interested in having her, at the very least, should we take back Ostennis and free this land from Durastian rule, I'd be interested in having her evaluate and assess what infrastructural improvements we might make throughout the capital and nation in general. Perhaps I am open to the ideas of including more of you in formal positions of rank.
I was
I'll
thinking
give the matter some thought.
I was just thinking about the morale of the troops and what the Four Winds have come to mean to them. And like, instead of like a broy push, Jiri will get a broy little telekinetic shove forward. We did like kind of push, like, you know, make him look like he volunteered himself.
Sure. Yeah, whatever you need of me, I'm here to serve. What were your thoughts
Jiri.
there? Or oh gosh, I'm blanking on her name.
Elia.
Alaya,
Lady.
lady, my lady.
She will say, well, fair magus, Jiri, Jarl of Jaland, I recall our first meeting long ago.
Not to interrupt, but former Jarl of Jaland and former Jinjinasi. But yes, continue.
Fair enough. I will have to inquire more of the change in your title. But perhaps another one could be available in the future. Your exploits have certainly gained plenty of morale amongst our troops, and perhaps the most outlandish tales associated with your name. I will have to get a better understanding of how fable strays from fact. But you have been on my radar as well. So continue your esteemed service, and I will, of course, always be in your debt. Thank you all.
Thank you, Elia.
And you guys are welcome to take your leave.
I did want to ask the emissary something real quick. Since
Sure,
they're
yeah,
all-
you can see them sort of off in the distance. They have left the tent, and you can see them because they're in a bare plain a little ways beyond, like a couple hundred yards, and you see a beautiful white Pegasus kind of shiver its wings, and as well as a large griffin touch down near Vents Elend, sort of like a brass color, a little bit of a golden sheen to its plumage.
Oh, can I have spent my short rest with Rome resummoning, because it takes an hour, resummoning Loaf, and so I can like throw Loaf at the griffin. Your father!
Jesus.
So yes, Jiri, as you see those individuals, you're welcome to go approach them if you wish.
I'll approach them and I will greet them with my normal title. And Jury's gonna ask them,
Well, what are the things we've been doing lately? This playing Skyball. And you guys all look like you are
formidable flyers. So if you would be interested in playing with us, probably tomorrow I'll be setting up a game. You are more than welcome to try it out with us. It's a good way to gain some skills in flying, but also might be a good way for you to get to know us a little bit better.
Go ahead and make an insight check.
Ooh.
You hear a quick sort of cough or scoffing laugh from Jin as she turns away and continues to prepare her Pegasus steed for flight. And Vence turns around to you and says, "Forgive, Jin. We are on a diplomatic endeavor here and are not willing or frankly able to remain in this place long. We must make it back to our military. Perhaps we could call it a rain check.
Well,
Sounds fun, if reckless. I think our commander might like you."
If we're ever in Belladonia, we're gonna hold you to that promise.
Cash that check.
Cash that check, metaphorically speaking.
What's a check?
He leans in a bit to you and says, "For the record, you may have more success with my fleet. Jin and Commander Taniths are a rather dutiful bunch, and they don't have the sort of reckless flexibility that the Griffin fleet is known for. Food for thought in your future offers. I'll keep it in mind."
Good to know.
Very well. Magus, and he will quickly hop onto his Griffin steed, and both of them will beat their wings, and your Tavi and Robe sort of billow, and they take to the sky and soar away.
Did you say reckless flexibility?
Yes, of the Griffins.
I hadn't really thought of them as separate entities, but that's interesting.
But with a perhaps unsatisfying answer, Jiri, perhaps there's an opportunity for future interaction there. But they have left you, and you three are welcome to make your way back into the city. Toby and Rome, is there anything in particular you're doing as the night winds down within the city?
Rome will be, how much time has elapsed? Would a long rest have been able to have occurred?
Not yet, but we're about to enter the long rest functionally. Pretty much just anything you want to do with your night before we long rest.
I would say, like, in addition to Rome, like, starting to heal herself with, like, little forest critters, would be to, also start to, like, regrow and like rebuild some of the areas that were destroyed in the battle.
Ooh.
Very cool. How about you, Toby?
Nothing much from Toby. Just in his room, thinking, reflecting.
Contemplation. Perfect. Well, there will be we'll say you guys are, due to the sort of positioning of the army and where the tent situation was for that emissary meet, we'll say you guys are loosely afforded plenty of rooms available around Point D here on the map, near the barracks and armory. There are many buildings there that the soldiers are heavily reinforcing right now. Mess halls being quickly established for group style meals. So we'll say you guys have rooms available around Point D. But other than that, unless there's anything else, everyone can go ahead and complete a long rest. Nothing will impede that tonight.
I think I'll probably go spend the night with the Loon Songs.
Okay, perfect. They will similarly have a tent just outside Point C, outside the city gates. Perfect. You are welcome to do so. You're all welcome to get a long rest. And then I would, if I had remembered to write it down, let you all know the exact date we are in. However, with 4 weeks of downtime, I think what's more important is I'll make sure to communicate what the date is upon the downtime being complete and the army marching out. So that'll probably be something we handle next session. But for now, you all have about 4 weeks of downtime available to pursue various interests. I think I have a good understanding of what each of you want to use that time for, but I know there's plenty of room for decision making and changes of pace there. Does anyone want to volunteer to sort of go first? And we'll probably go maybe bullet point by bullet point and kind of hit a couple people so that we're not spending 20-30 minutes per person straight away. But yeah, Telperion, you got something?
I have two things I'm interested in exploring, and I don't know how long they would actually consume of my my break. So I could go first, so that way I have some time to think. Oh, it'll take 2 weeks, and then I have 2 weeks to do something I hadn't thought of yet.
Absolutely, and
Can I
a
jump
lot
in
of this
first?
we might handle in non-RP. So this might be a little bit of an hour or so of just kind of conversational, like, hey, I want to do this. All right, this is what's going to be available to you, the type of checks, efforts, etc.
This is purely for Critter, for the DM, because something I did forget to tell you. But at some point in the very first 2 days, I will approach Toby and I will say, hey, at some point while we're here, would you mind checking in on my dad?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then we can do that later, because I forgot to tell
Yeah.
Critter that, so you can
That sounds
mentally
good.
tell me what mountaintop he's on.
I will be prepared to relay the events of the scrying in the event that he fails.
Okay, so I think the first thing I'll do is go to Jiri, and Jiri and I and I want to have a conversation with him about how he and his buddy have fused their swords together, and talk with Jiri about, would it be possible to fuse the old sword, the Jade Blade, with my great sword, and if we would need to put something like, and then like what that process would look like, and if it would require other things. And Tim, if there's anything you want to kind of like help shape that conversation.
Jiri will have to ask. Hyperival, obviously. So he'll go in his mind. He'll say, "Hey, Hyperival, remember that sword you ate? I'm sure it was very tasty. Any chance you could like barf it up? I don't know how that works. I don't know if that's the right word to say, but that's how I think of it."
Jiri, somewhere deep down I feel my old, more bitter sense of self in desperation to mock you, but I will inform you, rather, that I am not merely consuming these as one consumes food. I believe, as we've been able to incorporate magic items into your sword and amplify its effects, we are leeching the magic and knitting together their threads so that I can then facilitate their reformation at your will. We have not tried yet to oust a magical connection we have made. I'm certainly willing to try, and I suspect we will need to deattune from our blade.
What are some potential downsides to this situation?
Well, we won't know anything until we're able to deattune and see what happens then. But my suspicion is, if sufficient magical effect and potency can replace certain knit threads, we could oust components and retain others, facilitating a suitable enhancement for your original sword. It will just depend on what components are used, how I'm able to knit them together, and I suspect different rules will apply for incorporating things within my form that are temporarily usable by you in between summonings versus something that would be discrete from my form, permanently knit together for someone else. that feels like it would be less
Hmm.
undoable.
Interesting. Well,
But
Telperion wants his the green sword back specifically. That's what he's looking for. But could we I don't know, replace it with like Illimir or something like that, or Fengamore or something really cool?
There's other weapons you can try that with. Just not those two.
I'll give you a hammer.
Those legendary blades, as I understand, would absolutely have sufficient potency to absorb. However, I question whether my magic can contain their potency. That may be a challenge for the future. But in the interim, the typical tiers of potency you all have gathered, I suspect will work, as long as you are willing to offer another component for the effort.
Or let's offering a big hammer. Well, you have big magical hammer?
I mean, I've got my flail, but I'm using it at the moment.
Yeah, we can't use that. That's your thing. What are you gonna smack people with?
Jiri, I would ask you the question.
Yeah.
Should we oust the Blade of Lucent Jade and its capabilities for light and psychic magic? Our current Shadow Storm Blade would lose some of that functionality. What would you be interested in replacing that with?
Oh well. Psychic's kind of Telperion's thing. My thing is like smacking stuff really, really hard. So like smacking things even harder. Like that's why I like that hammer idea. Big hammer smack.
More
You wouldn't want
potent
something like
strokes.
this, Jerry. And I hold out my ring of protection.
Oh, no, not in my sword.
Don't we also have a curse sword or something?
Jiri,
Meteorite
out of,
sword?
out
Oh,
of curiosity, might we take a look at the ring Telperion offers purely for educational benefit? I might be able to understand how it would fit in even before we do so.
Oh yeah, I mean sure thing.
All right,
Very
Hyperion.
well.
Can
I would ask you first, Jiri.
But
Would you spend the next hour attuning with my sensibilities and break our connection to Storm Shadow only in the interim?
an hour? Oh boy. I mean I guess I got an hour to spare. Got a lot of plans, but sure.
It's actually
Okay. Over the course of an hour, you and Hyperivel will begin to deattune to Storm Shadow. And as you do so, it feels like mentally your attuned connection to the blade you currently wield feels like an item melting in your hand, seeping through the fingers, and then no longer able to grasp. And you feel its solidness separate into two discrete entities. And at the end, as you place a hand on the ground, and the Vantablack Dread Iron sludge, though still with like cracked veins of visible mithril throughout, spread from your hand and pool onto the ground. And as they retract back into your hand, you see in front of you the Levin's Edge, separate from the blade of Lucent Jade.
There it is. Oh my god.
Telperion grabs it and runs.
No, I won't, but look at it. I haven't seen it.
Jiri, might you try identifying that ring for a moment?
I grab the ring and I'm like, what do you mean by that?
Here. I won't take full control, just need to... And you feel your muscles sort of tense and squeeze and convulse, gripping the ring very tightly in your hand with a strength that's not innate to you. And you see your just ink begin to like squeeze from the palm of your hand, and as you open it up, there's no more ring.
Oh.
And you cast the spell Identify, though with potentially altered functionality to some degree.
Ooh, what did you learn about it?
Those are the threads then. Mercurial. Yes, that could work. Very well. Jiri, place your hand back down on the ground for me.
You gonna spit it out?
Okay.
And as you place your hand down, again, dread iron sludge sort of pools out of your pores onto the ground, and you feel a solid object beneath your palm that was not there moments ago. And as you pull back your hand, the ring is once again on the ground.
This is a very cool magic trick. I feel like we could somehow pull a prank on Mirage with this.
Oh my god.
There's
Though I have come to appreciate your entertainment delights, stay focused with me for a moment. I have learned something very valuable.
I'm easily distracted.
I have learned
Love
that should something like the Ring of Protection be fused with your Levin's Edge, we could offer you the protection you've recently been pursuing, though I know you have other ideas in mind with Roulette's assistance there. But what I noticed is that those threads between the Levin's Edge and a Ring of Protection could be mercurial in a way that could afford flexibility between offense and defense. Keep that in mind. However, if you are focused on stronger strikes, I am happy to identify additional items in the future.
I don't know if we got anything else to check in on.
Well, food for thought for you. Discuss with your own collection and your allies for the way we combine items will charge your sword in various different ways. If that is something you are interested in. Otherwise, I am happy to recombine the Levin's Edge and Blade of Lucent Jade.
I wonder, Hyperval, do you think we could do this with things that aren't just weapons? Are you able to eat, like, oh, I don't know. Again, you said it's not like eating. I don't know what other word to use. Absorb? Yeah, that's a big word.
Mining, perhaps.
Say it again.
I could mine different items, perhaps for qualities they have, if they are sufficiently strong to withstand my dread iron form. That is the difficulty here. I fear I might burn, consume, and destroy mundane items of insufficient quantity. Do you have anything you want to try?
Oh, Talbiran, is there anything else we should check in on?
Well, I guess I'm curious if he could fuse my sword with the Jade Blade, and then let it be, as he said, distinct from him. Is now a moment he could, I don't mean attempt it full out, but test the potential. I can hold out my greatsword.
Jerry,
I have Hyperval.
would you like me to experiment and understand?
Yeah, you're gonna have to mine, absorb, eat both of them at the same time, maybe? I don't know, try it out.
Perhaps. Before I even know if I am capable of doing so, I need to take a look. Although, that first endeavor was easy to separate. I require a focus to better utilize that capability. Do you have something of sufficient material value that I can wrap around in the process? And functionally, we will need to make sure you have a material component suitable for identify.
Which is... Let me look it up.
Generally speaking, I believe a pearl of 100 gold worth.
Need some pearls. All right. Let's go see if Toby's got any. Oh wait, no. Who is it? Roulette? Roulette, you identify stuff. Roulette, you got any pearls?
How do you guys identify? Do you have
My smith's tools. I probably have a specific lens or something that has a pearl inset in there for identify.
Perfect. Yeah, if you're willing to let Jiri use that.
Roulette could
momentarily.
borrow your lens thing.
Sure.
So,
We promised we
With
won't destroy it.
So with a ritual identifier being used this time so as not to drain spell energy, I will clarify some ideas that Hyperavel has about the situation. Let me find this real quick.
Meteor. It's just a black sword. There's nothing special about it.
It's not magical.
No. We can get you.
Okay.
Take our scraps. We can.
No, I'm wondering if I want.
So, I'll clarify a couple things. Hyperavel's fusions and charging of Jiri's sword so far have been fairly instantaneous or short-term endeavors for Jiri specifically, because the weapon's form retains a malleable form only usable by Jiri as part of his pact, and it's always made from Hyperavel's form, never fully separate and distinct and outside the sway of his magic. Fusing something for someone else's use would require him to use more power and as well as a mithril injection to suitably afford him additional flexibility to bind and then leave behind and facilitate the fusion. Functionally, you guys know, due to Jiri's engagement and interaction so far, interjecting 2 rare items with mithril should result in a very rare item. Telperion specifically, if you and Jiri come to an agreement where you're comfortable with this, have resources available, etc., Hyperavel thinks he could try to bind your Mooncrest Greatsword with the Blade of Lucent Jade. Both of those items this time would be permanently fused, fully sacrificed, with an unpredictable outcome. You would have no say in the final stat block capabilities of the magic item. It would also require double the mithril injection that Jiri got. With some very quick discussions with moonsmiths available, or even just Selethar weaponsmiths in the area, based on what you're able to discuss with them, they suspect the moonsmiths originally used 1,000 gold worth of mithril in Jiri's tempering. So this would functionally be, you sacrifice Mooncrest Greatsword, you sacrifice Blade of Lucent Jade, and since both of those rare items have a loose 4,000 to 5,000 gold cost associated with their tier of item, then the injection of 2,000 gold of mithril would facilitate a fusion into a very rare item in about a month's time. It would take Hyperavel time to more slowly and intricately knit together the 3 threads of weave between these things so that he could oust them and step back fully and have them be their own discrete object.
No, specifically for MK, I feel like Hyperavel just turned into a Minecraft smithing stone.
This would not require either of your downtime effort. This is all Hyperavel's doing in the background. Both of you could still pursue other downtime interests. But it would be a 2,000 gold price tag and the sacrifice of 2 rare objects.
He's just digesting.
He's got mithril heartburn that he has to take time to get over.
So
Whoa,
Jiri,
that's
Hyperavel communicates that to you, and you're welcome to communicate that to Telperion as well.
I do.
Well, Jiri, my question is, would you even want to consider parting with the Jade Blade? Because I don't know what the magic item you'd put in there instead. That is a ask that I would be creating if you...
And Hyperavel will also indicate that because your blade, Jiri, is still under Hyperavel's control and manipulation and flexibility, you combining another weapon with the Levin's Edge would still be fairly instantaneous. It would not require a time duration. So when Telperion's blade may or may not be complete, you're welcome to then create your own rather instantly.
I guess my question for you, Telperion, is I think
On my end, I'm willing to give you back your Levin's Edge, but you're gonna have to help me find something cool to replace it with. I feel like that's a fair trade.
Oops.
I think that's fair trade too. I also need to think about this because I'm not positive I want to do it. But if I ask you to pop the blade, I definitely want to help you, and that could be volunteering components or items I've acquired, or just time searching with you.
But it's gonna take a month, so you better decide like ASAP.
Okay. There is one other matter crit that I'd like to see too. And I'd like to go back to Athenian. I don't know if anyone wants to go on a field trip. Other people could come with me to Athenian, but I want to go. I want to ask my mom about something that I have a suspicion will take me to Athenian.
Yep, I agree. Yeah, people I'm sure are welcome to accompany you there, and we can tackle those requirements after we hop a little bit back and forth. Roulette, were you interested in doing?
I will
next?
definitely hop along because I will take any chance to go to the library. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to go ahead and jump in here with a downtime interest or two while Telperion will continue that effort?
Sure. Do we want to skip top zooms?
Yeah, let's do that.
Also, yeah. Hop zooms.
It's funny because it's starting
Not
this
cheap.
all of that you saying that just reminded me of the deal with the devil I did of like you got to take the deal, you got to do the interesting. So now like, ooh,
Do the weird thing.
it's true. I'd be saying bye to my greatsword, my dad's greatsword,
Oh shit! I did these out of
but
order.
potentially making a cool like metal jade combo sword.
I want to. I'm going to go to whatever library is available in Athenian, and as long as Telperion is there, maybe even a little bit longer. I'm going to take out my notes that I have transcribed from Moira's books that I remember and saw and have, and then also the small little scrap of paper that she gave me for. I don't remember if it was Feral 5 or Catalyst, because I think it may have been the Catalyst formula.
Yes, so I will remind you of a thing. She originally gave you the notebook of her. It was sort of titled Ruminations on the Project.
Yeah.
And it was seemingly authored by an individual known as the Architect, an engineer of some sort that was heavily involved in Belladonia's Guardian project, and you learned quite a bit of that. With Alaya's help translating the Infernal, Moira's own sort of I forget what the word is called, but commentary on the context of that journal entry. She had her own thoughts and stuff back and forth, and then had a separate text idea, or rather a formulaic idea. That's part of it. So you learned two things from that endeavor. You functionally know the recipe for how one might go about creating the Feral 5 virus, which includes you need donor blood, recipient blood, as well as functionally like certain qualities of alchemical components and herbalism supplies that who knows how comfortable Roulette is in that side of the crafting world compared to smithing, tinkering stuff. And then separately, there was some indication by Moira's separate notes that basically afforded the information that every individual afflicted by a feral virus has latent feral capabilities in their blood. The Feral 5 virus that originally is intended to be crafted and housed as a gas in a hourglass vial and broken as a bonus action. It's functionally a potion or poison and inhaled can be a self buff or an injury, like a bane to someone else, according to the level of chaotic reaction, as well as the components themselves, capabilities. You understand that those people go through a transformation very instantaneously. The thing is essentially a virus and a catalyst in one. But original subjects of the project were not all pursuing the same types of strands of this virus, and many of those were intended to eventually long-term manifest things in a more stable way. Moira found a recipe for a catalyst serum where you could inject oneself or an individual afflicted by the feral virus and trigger a transformation temporarily. I will award you information that we've discussed briefly. Although you have a hidden boon that you do not know the mechanics around, you get the sense that a catalyst serum could be an alternate route of triggering said boon.
That was gonna be my next question. Not that specifically, but so the Feral 5 is meant for non-branded to very quickly transform.
Yes.
The catalyst serum, from what I'm understanding, is more of a trigger for a branded individual to
Correct.
supercharge or whatever it is. Okay.
Absolutely correct. And temporarily, functionally, a polymorph that they do not control. Their blood composition controls the polymorph.
I don't have a recipe for the catalyst serum. She just hypothesized.
You do have a recipe, a first draft of what she thought you might be able to put together a catalyst for.
That was the scrap of paper she handed me?
Correct.
Okay.
So it's a first draft. Who's to say it doesn't come with complications, etc., but it could be a worthwhile endeavor and provide results if you pursue that. But certainly you also have the recipe for just Feral 5 virus and could create potions for your allies to... You've seen it used in various ways, almost like gain the rage feature, gain a transformation, like you saw that Chol individual, and you have 5, I believe, or maybe 6 vials that you stole from Moira's that each have a different effect. There were 2 greens, a Dread Iron black one,
who has
red
those?
one. I'm not sure the answer of that. It might be you.
If anything, it'd be Bag of Holding for you to have.
I will go back and make sure I have those. I will want to I don't want to in this first little trip to the library right now, all I want to be basically doing is gathering a tools and ingredients list for both Feral 5 and the Catalyst Serum.
Okay. You are certainly welcome.
More importantly,
to
the
do
Catalyst
that
Serum, I'll say.
Okay. I'll say for specifics, I might be reaching out after this session, maybe preemptively to next session, to be like, these are the things you might want to have used over your downtime, and we can figure that out if you chose to pursue some of this versus others. Costs associated, other requirements and prerequisites, etc. But you're welcome, easily able to gather components you feel are necessary for that effort. Speaking of which, the library you're currently at is probably called the Preservers Athenium. It's kind of the lore house of Athenian, which is also where Telperion may end up joining you too for an endeavor of his own. But
okay, I will. I'll basically make like a shopping or gathering list, taking note of anything that I think is going to be completely out of left field that I might need to like venture to get if any of that exists. But I'll say that's it for me for now for the first half or first week or so, whatever it is.
All right. How about someone else? Do we want to hop over to someone to handle certain downtime interests?
I had an interest in collaborating with Toby and Telperion, specifically around the staff that I was gifted.
Oh, yeah, I've actually been meaning to check this out. I can't believe we found it.
Um, so what do you know about the staff, Telperion?
Very little. The Aleolo who this stuff belonged to are the lost people I've been searching for ever since I left home a year, however many months ago. And the Aleolo have been lost to my people. Essentially, the Sun Elves have been lost to me, the Moon Elves, for a century or a millennia,
Yeah, almost 2 millennia.
thousands of years. And so us finding this staff is a great sign. We haven't found anything of theirs since they left.
Toby, do you think that we could analyze this staff further to understand who had it last?
Absolutely.
So as to like get more clues as to where exactly these Aleolor are.
Would be incredible.
Certainly. I believe I have what I need for that as well.
Rome, what's your staff called?
It is called the Staff of Golden Flame.
Golden Flame. It is legendary. And then let me...
We know the name of the person who held it last because it was on his tomb.
And what is his name?
That's a great question. We just fought the odd night in between, so let me search my memory. The site altar Aralana Solus with relics. Critter's cringing because he knows all this by heart and I'm reading it out of a book. Along with relics mastery over
Aralana Solas.
Yeah.
Yes.
Could you mind dropping in the chat just that I have like the proper spell?
Absolutely.
So
a woman, Aleolor mage, Aralana Solas, held it last, and based on journal information you guys had, you know that it once originally belonged to the Aranil Halanir Solas.
So my mom is the queen of our people, so this would have been the leader of their people.
At the time of the Sundering, when it was potentially used.
Sundering?
Who we think fell in love with Owlithir.
That's a loose guess. Right? I don't know that we had.
That's a stretch.
Well,
we had. I know we had reason to think that, but we
Yeah.
haven't confirmed that much. And that was the Sun Elf Aranel, right?
Yes.
Rumoredly fell in love with Halanir Solas.
Oh,
the Golden Great Worm. I don't think we've had perfect confirmation that the Golden Great Worm is Owlithir.
For sure.
But yes, certainly I could divine information on the staff or on either of these two. If what we pick isn't legendarily important enough, we won't learn anything. And I believe it will still use up the magic in the components. So, Rome, what would you like to know about the staff? Last person who held it, this old Aranil.
Last person to have held it, what sorts of battles this staff participated in, where it originated.
Well, and knowing Halanir Solas, the Aranel who held it, he would have used it during the big battle, like, of the ages.
Big battle.
Whoever
Well,
had
I'm
this recently.
curious as to like why did we find it where it was? Like,
So in
Yeah.
that case, I will probably target the staff itself and not either of these two people when using this magic. And yeah, I will cast Legend Lore on the Staff of Golden Flame.
Okay. Which does consume what components?
250 gold worth of incense.
Yikes.
Okay.
Oh, dude, we've used
Once
the spell
again-
so well. I don't mind ever dropping that.
As you have done so before, you create your sort of patterned dust of incense, forming the certain pattern and place laid on your ivory. In the middle, you rest the staff of golden flame. You trigger your magic for legend lore, and you do see all of the incense ignite and slowly begin burning in toward the center. And your vision immediately is clouded with smoke, and you almost fall into a trance, Tobirama, and your vision is completely obscured until all you see is staff in Rome's hand. And then flashing back into your efforts throughout the city and into the tomb and recovering it from that individual. And then you see rapidly, again, rewinding time, you see Aralana Solas living, surrounded by active denizens of the Deginsian Order. And then you see her on the surface world in Mersenia, interacting in a familiar cityscape and being welcomed by these Earth Genasi individuals with these cracked marble skin patterns. And then you see them outside the city traveling, and they look rather worn and exhausted in their travels. And then you see them travel backwards up toward the north from where they came from, a fractured place. Centuries begin to flash before your eyes and vision, until you see the staff handed between 2 or 3 sets of hands by the time it got to Aralana's hand. And eventually you see a very powerful, wide-shouldered, dark brown-skinned man with this heavily 2-braided, silvery blonde hair falling all the way to the floor across both of his shoulders, wielding the staff and holding it and gesturing and commanding golden flame from it in a war-torn landscape. There are demons and devils and all manner of mortal soldiers of all various types across the battlefield, and shadow is dominating the entire landscape, and he's casting upward with it to no avail at this large looming threat. And then that vision even subsides further into the past, where he walks in muddled conversation that you can't quite pick up as he uses the staff like a walking stick to walk alongside a beautiful feminine presenting individual with a similar braided hairstyle that falls all the way to one side to the front. This individual looks identical to the individual you know as Alethir that you have all met. And she holds out their hand, cradling the top of this staff, and it flickers from gold to becoming a mundane or arcane red and orange flame.
Ooh, so she like created it for him.
Ooh, big speech.
And after that moment, your vision fades and you're pulled back to the present with the staff set and all the incense having been consumed all the way toward the middle.
Blah, word vomit. Repeat to Telperion and Rome.
Holy shit.
Alethir made this for him.
What does that mean, though, ultimately?
Both of you go ahead and make an intelligence check.
Oof.
Rome, I'll include you on that as well, except I'll have you make a wisdom check, Rome.
Oh, thank you.
What about me, though?
That's so high.
Six.
Tobirama and Telperion, you begin to postulate on what could this mean, and Rome, on a less knowledge-based course of thinking and more just innate understanding, you knit together 2 things very quickly. That golden flame of the staff matches very well with the golden flame used by Beast King Mordecai in his transformation into his dire lion form before he ended up being required to resort to even fouler fire, hell flame. But before his hell flame, he was spewing golden flame identical to that of the staff, and he was surprised it did not bypass resistance of the celestial armor, which you know the golden staff of golden flame is capable of doing.
So, like, Mordecai's been blessed by
Ooh,
Alethea?
very cool.
Like, you think that he was given the ability to use Golden Flame from Alethea? You mean?
She seems.
Why does he need to use Hellflame? Just like as a side note, is that just because?
I was actually gonna go look into this because I have a suspicion based on something from Telperian's journal, of Illisan's journal rather. But I think he saw that flame not work, and so resorted to this incredibly strong hell flame, and that did manage to work against this celestial armor.
But are there consequences to using Hellflame over Golden Flame?
Well, Celestial's made from the angelic, the heavenly, the gods. So it would make sense that the only thing that could harm it, flame-wise, would be the opposite, demonic or devilish. As opposed to draconic, perhaps, which is what this fire seems to have come from. The Ginsians have draconic vibes.
Mm-hmm.
Did that Aeronil create the Ginsian order?
I was actually going to ask about. It seemed like the coming together of the Alealor into Mersenia with the Earth Genasi was more of the Ginsian order founding, but could I tell based on that
vision?
I
would say based on, you don't get clear answers from the vision trajectory, but I will say there was a collection of individuals with Aralana Solas by the time they entered Mersenia and met with the Earth Genasis and were welcomed and given hospitality. So you're not quite sure, did it happen at the time of that meeting, or was it already brewing beforehand? You don't get concrete answers to that, but the Ginsian Order in general certainly seem to revere Golden Flame, the Golden Moon, whatever those connections may avail. You're not sure.
Fascinating.
Well, did you learn what you wanted to know?
The staff of the Golden Flame reminds me of my sister, but I don't know how. Perhaps they're all connected. Perhaps the Alealor have something to do with Pyru. I just don't know how yet.
Is that in the notebook?
There's something about the Great Fire Spirit.
I'll look at the note, the journal.
Fell in love with the Aeronil Halanir Solas, who around that time became bound to a great spirit of fire that empowered his troops. So, like, he was, like, bound to Perua, and then was also given an enhancement on this staff by the Golden Great Worm.
So you're right, Rome. It does have to do with your sister.
Wait, Halanir, what? Can you copy and paste? Can I? Like,
Absolutely. Let me paste that sentence. And this is all fresh on the mind because on the first day of downtime, Toby was going to approach Telperian and ask to read through the journal again.
Oh, dude, this is funny. I'm glad we're all at the library together.
Yeah.
Jerry, you're at the library with us? What are you studying?
The she at the start of that sentence is Alethea, the Golden Great Worm.
Who is a she, they individual.
Tim, what'd you say?
Jiri definitely does go to the library.
And I save us all a long trip by teleporting us to the ruins first.
Yeah, and you probably leave Wild Sage Blossom with your troops so that you can transport via plants right back to his location when you want.
Oh, Toby, I'm gonna give you 100 for spell components.
Well, thank you.
Legend lore tax.
The legend Lord Tax.
So yes, seemingly, according to the language of this portion of that journal, Alathir had fallen in love with the Alealor ruler, and the Alealor ruler had already become quote unquote bound in some way, according to the oral tradition, bound into the pages of this journal content, to a great spirit of fire that empowered his troops.
So I think
So
your sister
if a
was
great spirit of fire is Pyrrhua, the fire Mythaline, then it would indicate that your sister had a connection to perhaps not only the ruler, but all of the Alealor people.
maybe she empowered their light bending.
Mm.
How do you spell Pyrrhua?
That is a great question. I will throw it in chat.
PYR.
UAH.
I believe HUA.
Damn it.
Pyrrhua.
Yeah.
Rome. So this means that wherever my people are, your sister may be as well.
Perhaps. Perhaps she is. I wonder if she's within a vessel like you all found me, or if she's been awoken as well.
Oh, interesting. Well, you were in the vessel because you were hurt, right?
That's just how my life cycle is. But I'm awoken.
That's just me.
That's just me.
Just like something I do. It's quirky. That's so cool. We keep finding new connections, and I love it.
Good spell.
Very nice job. Okay, I'm gonna cook up a new plan now.
Hook up.
Cook.
Toby, I know you were involved in there, but you have some interests as well you want to pursue here related to that?
Yeah, so like the first morning after the Belladonian emissaries leave, Toby approaches Telpiran, super chipper, in a great mood. Very stark contrast with yesterday. And as Telpiran, I had a bit of an inspiration. Can I take a look at the journal? I want to see if I can look into some things.
1 point of inspiration, please. I hand you the journal.
And
I read it over your shoulder with you again.
You see me jump to a point, looking at Pact, Lord of Flames, Omen of Hellflame. I'm like, there we go. Okay. And then I would like to, before leaving for Athenian to go do research, I'd like to cast Sending or go find Beast King Mordecai and kind of have a quick conversation with him and see if I'd first ask Telpiran, do you mind me sharing some info from this journal with the Beast King? Okay. So I'll kind of scribble a little excerpt from it and then see if I can track down the Beast King to have a conversation and ask him about his necklace.
Okay, you are able to track him down, and without RP conversation, he will be able to speak to some information that you have earned in the first place before your research endeavors even begin. He will clarify that, and he's made mention of this in the past, that Alathir, although is the sort of overall protector of the land of Chimeras, they have entrusted that responsibility to Mordecai because Alathir cannot leave that mountain for whatever reason. And Mordecai, whatever head of Chimeras currently occupies rule, has to get their blessing, Alathir. And so, over the past X amount of rulers of Chimeras, they have all been Circle of Golden Fire druids. Not Circle of Wildfire, but Circle of Golden Fire druids. There have been a handful in the past, although their lives are long extended if they reach a level of wisdom and understanding. Their lives can be extended, but not indefinitely. So there have been a handful of rulers of Chimeras since those days, and since Alathir maintained a presence here in this mountaintop, he does indicate that yes, he had earned her blessing, as does every ruler of this great nation, as well as being the first to earn the gift of the omen of Hellflame that Aulathir wore in the Sundering.
Whoa. Ooh, that would have been so cool.
So you get those bits of information before your functional research takes place.
And I guess I'll just end that with kind of asking him if over the years you've been able to uncover any other of these legendary artifacts. Because it seems Durast has.
He will indicate that it is widely believed that the omen of Hellflame that he wears around his neck is counted among the emblems of the Sundering, as is the blades you've all begun to interact with Illimir and the idea of Fengamore, as well as Cryospear, the bident that King Zavar wields. Outside of that, there are tales of many others, but knowing what is or isn't an emblem is subject for discourse, and he believes the Staff of Golden Flame, which he acknowledges may likely have been enhanced by Aulathir, might still not count as an emblem of the Sundering, although legendary in and of its own right.
And then, as I begin to walk away, I turn around, I'm like, do you know what the title of the Silver Great Worm spoken of in this journal as well?
The title, he does not know. He has heard the name associated with that individual, and it is Agnaldarax.
Whoa.
Which I wonder if that has ever come up before, but I will spell it here in chat.
Wait, who is that?
No, because that sounds like an Elder Scrolls dragon, and I would have remembered that.
It sounds like Parthenax a little bit.
That's what it's at Parthenax, yeah.
The
But
journal
now that-
mentions the Golden Great Worm and the Silver Great Worm, who was the one who figured out craft of Celestial.
Oh, so this is the golden one?
Aulathir is the golden one.
Oh, this is
It
the
would-
silver.
It would seem this is the silver, and now that both names have been
AG and
revealed-
AU, good job.
AU and AG.
Awesome.
Point of inspiration for the DM.
No, careful. He'll use it against us.
Holy shit.
I will thank
Magic
Mordecai
Creek.
profusely as I go teleport my friends to the library. Or a
All
few
right,
hours
so
away
as
from
you
the
guys
library.
begin to endeavor in the library, you, Tobirama, think over what topics you might want to go, and then we'll move on to someone else for a time. Jiri, you've been interacting with a couple individuals, downtime pursuits, but I want to touch on your pursuits over this time.
Yeah. There's two things Jerry wants to do. Are we doing the library like very next day? Is that what's happening?
It can be all kind of amorphous, and we'll like concrete
In the first
things
week.
maybe, but yeah.
I do want to do some research at the library, specifically on like Hypervol. I want to see if like we can find like a history of him, or just like what any intel on him. But also with that, I do also want to spend some time with like the troops at Mercenia, specifically setting up a game of some Skyball. What I was imagining is I don't know if there's two different ideas for floating goals up into the air. I might cast Levitate on one, or Roulette, if you could build a simple hydrolysis apparatus and make us some like helium gas or hydrogen gas and like.
Wait, I forget how long it lasts, but I have immovable object, and that can just hold.
Oh,
things.
yeah.
Oh, perfect.
Yo, can I employ some birds to hold some stuff up?
Or we can have birds flying. Either way, I want to kind of like set up like games for like people to play. Something to like occupy their mind and get it off the, the war and
Post-war
loss of
vibes.
life. Yeah, but also still have it be like active and, there's competition, there's exercise, get the Oracore involved since they're good flyers.
I was I was I was about to say on the morale front, Roulette would definitely jump in, and in lieu of spells, she'd probably help you figure out some rules for the Oracore have to like carry the hoops as like goaltenders, and other people have to like get to the hoops. So they are like transporting, but it's yeah, she definitely help enlist the Oracore to participate and help make the games happen.
Sure. Did you ever go over the rules? We're gonna have to get some like equipment for it. We need giant spoons crafted. We need tabbies made for everybody. And that kind of stuff. So I would spend some time, and hopefully with like the Norm mercenaries, I'm sure that they'd like I'd motivate them to like help out with this ordeal. Oracore sounds like a good group to work with as well. And I'd cast like fly, I guess. I'd use some spell slots for fly to allow like Kellen and like some of the Nora mercenaries to try it out and play with us. And then I'd fly on Shaggy because Jiri also wants to practice more, flying around on his mount, getting better at like aerial combat in that way, diving and
Gotcha.
maneuvering, that kind of stuff.
Can I help you with one thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
I would attune the Featherfall ring, and I would help be like a ref or something because I could fly up and then like fall down, and then I'd use whatever like I would help lift things up if you ever needed.
Just the goals, yeah, the goals need to be lifted up. Yeah, and we're gonna need some tabbies. Everybody needs a tabby to play.
Alo could help too.
Yeah. So we play some Skyball, and hopefully
Perfect. Well,
good time for
if you
everybody.
are willing to commit a full 2 weeks to general morale training, you are welcome to, and that would functionally improve your morale score with your unit.
Definitely interested in spending 2 weeks playing some Skyball. It sounds fun.
Okay, if you want to commit 2 weeks of work week time, you can go ahead and add a +2 to your morale score.
Cool.
+2.
Ah.
And I believe you're already proficient with the Noras and have had advantage on that check. So at this point, it's just the morale boost.
Cool.
And then what were you thinking of researching as the crew goes to the Preserver's Athenium?
Me?
Yeah, you specifically said you want to look into Hyperivel. Is there any sort of specific
I just want to see if his name is like mentioned anywhere, like just general like one word search, like Hyperival. You know what I mean? Like, or and if not that, anything about like what we know about him, which is that he's he's not a diva. He's
Solar.
a Solar, yeah. Anything about Solars in general as well. And I'm sure like Hyperival would be I don't know, like I'm curious about his thoughts, but I would probably say to him like, Hyperival, like, can we go like look you up and see if you're famous in these books? Like, we need to find out more about you. I know your memories are lost, but like I've learned a lot by reading a book about me. Maybe it'd work for you.
Of course, the lore that Toby Rama divined of my past seemed to indicate I was something of high stature. And actually, we recently were banished by that knight's blade to a unique plane. I feel I've seen it before. If not having lived there, at least having visited. I think it might have been the demi-plane of one of the elven gods. Perhaps the magic of the sword shunted me to a place of its original creation. Perhaps I visited there sometime in my past. But yes, I would love to look more into my history.
So I guess adding on to the list, also looking for locations that kind of fit the description of what Jiri saw in that demi-plane, I guess.
Perfect. Okay, well, we've got quite a few research endeavors that people want to do, and I'm going to go ahead and clarify what functional research looks like using some Xanathar's help to give reference to mechanics. You can research a topic in a given work week. It generally takes 50 gold to facilitate the access you need, bribe individuals to kind of forsake some of their warfare priorities to help guide you through stuff and give you their attention and time. And per every week of research effort, and that 50 gold having been expended, will avail you of a single intelligence check. Any additional gold and weeks spent on that topic will give you a +1 modifier for the eventual check, and then different thresholds of the DC will matter. And let's hop zooms.
Catalyst is the word I'm trying to think of. I was like, could that trace?
Yeah, do you need help brewing
An
that?
intelligence check.
It will eventually be an intelligence check, and by adding additional work weeks or additional gold to the effort, you'll be getting +1 modifiers per extra 50 gold spent and +1 modifiers per extra work week spent on a given topic. So you guys can kind of choose, Jiri, if you are using 2 weeks in the morale effort, you have 2 available weeks to use on this effort. You could choose to go 1 work week at a time and try 2 generic intelligence checks, or you could double up and invest extra gold to give yourself additional modifiers on that intelligence check. Same thing for you, Toby Rama. I know both of you have some research interests, and I might be interested in tackling 1 or 2 of those if you guys are ready, or if you guys need a minute to kind of clarify exactly what you want to research.
Yeah, I might want to think about that just because Jiri might spend a day and get tired, you know what I mean, after getting results, especially because he's not too bright. So I might wait and see what Roulette's up to, because I did want to spend time helping her out with like crafting and stuff like that. So if that's going to require 2 weeks, I'd rather spend my 2 weeks doing that then.
Well, and it could require 1 week if you want to keep a bare minimum check. It just probably won't benefit from additional modifiers unless you're willing to chip in extra gold. But
Yeah,
definitely take
well,
some
what I'm
time to
saying
think
is
through that.
I'd rather check with the crafting first, and then if I do have that extra week, then I'd spend it researching.
Perfect. Steve, did you have a thought real quick?
Am I making any check for the catalyst research, or was that just me like shopping list?
That's kind of shopping list.
Okay.
No, functional research would potentially reward actual usable pieces of lore and tangible information. You kind of almost have what you need, but that's kind of checklist to start gathering your list of what you think you need.
Perfect.
And then Toby, do you have a topic on mind that you want to spend your first work week on?
Yes. And what was the Skyreath Peak? That was what is it?
Peak.
Cloudwreath Peak is what it's meant to be. Okay.
Cloudwreath Peak is the highest mountaintop amongst the entire Skycap mountain range that bisects Durast from Belladonia and Valara.
So, what I would like to spend my time researching is like sort of like history, geography of the mountain. I'm looking for mention of a great dragon if the name Agnaldarox pops up. I imagine I'll run into some Levin King stuff there a little bit, but I'm honing in on that place and its history.
Understood. With a work week and 50 gold expended, do you want to try your intelligence check at the end of that week?
I can manage 12 hours a day of enhanceability. Could that avail me of advantage on this check at whatever point it's made?
Yes, it could. If you can facilitate that much time in a given day, using it basically constantly throughout the day, every day, yes.
Like his coffee break. You just keep
Yeah.
I think I will want to do another week, I might end up wanting to do a total of 3 weeks on this topic.
Man.
Okay.
Because I am interested in really making this work.
Okay. So a work week goes by, 50 gold expended.
Yes.
You're willing to commit another work week and another 50 gold to it?
Mm-hmm.
And then do you want to go ahead and do a third?
Let's do 3.
Okay. 150 gold and 3 work weeks will avail you of an extra +2 and an extra +2. So you get a total +4 to whatever your normal intelligence check would be. Go ahead and roll your intelligence check.
Advantage? Plus
Yes,
4?
with advantage. Yes.
36 spell slots.
No, that's 12 a day for a whole week.
Holy shit. Never mind. That's 180 spell slots.
I rolled a nat 20
What?
along with a 7, but I rolled a nat 20, which gets me up to
Okay.
a 24.
Ooh.
At the end of your third week, you find something good, and I will avail that to you probably next session.
And
with
then
the
I'd
tangible
like
information you
to,
gain.
4th week, final week, look into Valara and see if there's mention of Gith, you know, because the journal mentioned with Gith, Queen Vishal, and their eventual journey to Valara when they felt they were shamed for switching sides or whatnot.
Okay, go ahead and expend another 50 gold, and go ahead and make an intelligence check.
No bonus.
Again, advantage if you can facilitate that,
I
but no
can.
bonus to the check.
Okay. This one is a 4 and a 15, so 15.
15. Okay. 15 for Valara, nat 20 for Agnaldarax and Cloudwreath Peak area. I will keep that in mind and let you know what lore you get from that next time.
That's my downtime.
Yeet.
Okay. Let's hop back to Telperion. As the others are starting to pursue research endeavors, your mother will also, based on your request, point you in the direction of the Preserver's Athenium. What are you specifically starting to look for?
I am thinking about the level of psionics that I've been employing, and I want to look into, they're not quite myths, but like they are like definitely like not super, I want to see what artifacts there are that belonged to the Crescent Knights, and see what access to those looks like.
Perfect. Your mother will reward you or award you the information that, because the fighting tradition of the Crescent Knights, both the Curum Roshir and the Curum Glamdrin, specifically kind of telekinetic focused versus telepathic focused knights, because that is such a cultural, has such cultural reverence, the Preserver's Athenium and their archives and storehouses of like artifact level rarities lies outside the normal chain of command and authority of the reigning Aranil. The reigning Aranil can't simply grant those items to an individual like they can with their own sacred relics that have meaning for their house line. Such you are all awarded those gifts of Mithril once upon a time. That was at the Aranil's ability and discretion to present. These are not. And so in order to get access to those and see what's available, she will encourage you to interact with, go seek out members of the Preserver's Athenium and start to build your reputation with them, suitable for them to consider availing you of said relics and artifacts, and just even used items typical of perhaps those orders even. With that in mind, I want to handle this somewhat similarly to, like, I'm having some people use the research foundation in Xanathars for this. I want to treat this like seeking a magic item. It will cost, for 100 gold and 1 work week, will afford you a persuasion check. Additional time spent and additional money spent increase the modifiers to that persuasion check, just like the research endeavors with their intelligence check. Then, based on a DC, then based on a DC that you hit, they might give you different levels of access to various items.
Toby, can you pump like 90 spell slots into him?
Yeah.
So if I can manage a second person 9 hours of intelligence advantage, I can't do charisma. Because enhance ability, when I upcast it, I can get someone else, but it has to be intelligence.
Okay.
You're on your own, big boy.
Yeah, really.
I can't even cast guidance because I'm concentrating.
So similarly,
Hilarious.
this would be as long as you're willing to spend the work weeks on. It's kind of the same thing as research. At a minimum, 1 work week and 100 gold. And that 100 gold is not just purchasing an item. It's investing, a donation to their archives, the manipulation and bribery with other house nobles to help establish the Preservers Athenium as more suitably sustainable in their future endeavors. Like there's a lot of like sort of infrastructure level stuff going on with what this gold cost would represent. So at a minimum, 1 work week and 100 gold would avail you of a persuasion check. Every extra 100 gold would get you a +1, and every extra work week would give you a +1.
But those are a pair to equal +1, right? Or is that
They're separate, so you're doubling up by doing a second week with an extra 100 gold. That's
Oh.
an extra +2 modifier. In this
got it?
sense.
Okay. So like 2 work weeks, 200 gold is a +4. Or am I wrong?
2.
+2. Okay.
Plus,
So
the
the things-
first
yeah, the
week
week
just
and the gold are
establishes
paired.
the check.
Yeah.
The extra weeks
Oh.
keep associating an extra +2.
So
Got
3 weeks becomes +4, 4 weeks becomes +6.
Sure. Okay. I think I'll do 3 weeks as well, like Toby did.
Okay. So the first will get you the persuasion check. The second will buff it by +2. The third will buff it by +2. So if you want to commit 3 weeks of time, that will be a persuasion check +4. And 300 gold expended in the process.
I can't cast any spells to help me with this. But I'm curious if I can, because I want to talk to Minerva before I do this. I'll be like, these are schmoozy types, right? Like, could some letter of recommendation help me like sweeten the pot? I'm the fucking son of the Erenil and the only Crescent Knight they have. That has to be worth something.
Interesting.
Yeah, can she help you navigate this better?
Minerva agrees that perhaps she can help your briberies, political maneuvering be more effective. She's probably not willing to help the whole time, but she is able to help for some of it. So I will say, with her help, make a history check with advantage because you're getting her help. If this hits a DC of 20, it will afford an additional benefit to your check.
Okay. All right. So I'm rolling a history check with advantage. 20.
Literally a 20.
I rolled a 13 and I have a +7 on history. Yes.
With that, Minerva identifies a house that has been overlooked for a little bit in the resources faction of the city, and finds an opportunity to knit together a firmer connection between them and the Preservers Athenium that would suit both entities fairly resolutely, which avails you of we'll say an extra +2 to your check.
But you have to marry one of their daughters.
That's not going to happen.
So
All
at
right.
the end of this, a persuasion check.
The first
She's
step in our Eridon Red
300
Wedding.
300 gold will avail in a +6 modifier.
All right, 300 gold removed. Okay,
Which I guess
So-
is a functionally +5 for you.
Yeah, I'm
'cause
at
you have a
-1.
-1.
yeah.
Persuasion +5.
Okay.
Or D20 +5.
Oh! I rolled an 18. 23.
Okay.
Fuck yes. I was gonna say, like, that's inspiration, and I'd be willing to dole you out one.
Your efforts do gain you access to the Preservers Athenium's goodwill, as well as some stores that they have available, at least in the interim. They might have to clear some bureaucratic red tape for a while to look into additional stuff, but there are specifically 3 items they are comfortable availing you of. You can look these up because they are created in D&D Beyond, and I'll type them here.
It's a gun.
A set of Kineticuffs, a set of Mental Links.
I have no idea what these are, and you guys are so excited.
That
and a sword known as Kuramar the Sai Saber.
that first one should like say trademark Roulette Tinkerton, because I would definitely fucking call something Kineticuffs.
The Kineticuffs are specifically they designated a Kuram Roshir, a telekinetic leaning individual specializing that. They were bracers, silver bracers with an amethyst on the wrist that helped focus telekinetic abilities. The Mental Links are designed in the Crescent Knight style for only moon elves, and they are intended to silver clasps for the antlers that have an emerald at the base of the clasp that kind of rests on the low or the high brow and serve to focus telepathic psionics. Both of those were typical of those specialized forces. Kuramar the Sai Saber was a unique item developed and used by a specific individual in the Crescent Knights history. You are welcome to look through each of those in D&D Beyond.
Daddy.
All right, that's what I'm gonna be. Telperian's looking at this loot and peeing himself.
Okay. Additionally, I will afford you the information that the Preservers Athenium is not offering these for purchase. These are culturally relevant, meaningful staples of a dying fighting tradition, which, although you've done great work in instilling the idea that maybe it's not done yet, these can't just be purchased and away from their situation. So these are not available for purchase. They are available for loan. For the Kineticuffs or Mental Links, you would be responsible for paying the Preservers Athenium, donating 500 gold per month in perpetuity until their return. Kuramar the Sai Saber, you would be required to donate 1,000 gold per month in perpetuity until returned.
Wow.
Imagine Jiri steals it.
You guys would have a changeling's head on the platter the next morning.
Functionally speaking, that's kind of a bargain on the rarity tier they are for the first 8 to 10 months. Past that, you start to lose your money. But it's
Also,
an
then I would
investment
be happy
in a
to look.
cultural relic.
Okay, clutch. Thank you. I'm reading.
Clutch.
Okay. All right. Handled some research topics. Jiri, have you thought through a specific topic you want to key in on, or do you want some more time looking into that?
Like I said, I'm gonna wait and see what the crafting entails.
That's right. So let's go ahead and check in with Roulette then.
Oh God, you just looked it up. Okay, so I spent my first week with the rest of the nerds in the library. They're neck deep in their books. I want to go get some sun. So at some point I'll steal one of Toby's 180 spell slots to have him reach out to Korik, because I'd like to arrange travel with Korik to either Korital if he wants to go there, if he can only go there, but I believe he did pick us up just outside the western or eastern gates of Kirsan, if I remember correctly.
That is correct.
Okay. I will arrange travel with Korik if possible to get me to that same tree. Basically saying I'm gonna spend the night in Kirsan. I'll meet you back at this tree same time tomorrow.
Okay. That is very doable. Over a month of time affords him plenty of flexibility to facilitate this effort. You are afforded a night in Kirsan. What are you interested in doing there?
just prior to going there, anyone who has sending capabilities, I want to send a message to the antiquities dealer whom we met and sold statues to, because if I remember correctly, we don't actually know who the Oricaba are. The Oricaba have like 3 leaders who are completely unknown to us, and I've only ever corresponded to them with mail. So
and
I want to-
Mirage, I think, sent a thing to a contact once.
Yes.
Yes.
So
I was when you texted me that you want to interact in this, I'm like, love it. I'm prepared for it. How do you want to get in contact with the Oricaba?
yeah. So I want to send a message to that antiquities dealer specifically, to basically say Roulette Tinkerton headed to Kirsan, would appreciate a meeting with any sort of representative of the Oricaba. I'll send that first, obviously, before utilizing a spell from Korik, to make sure that that is doable.
All doable. What I would like to do is check my Kirsan notes rapidly.
I don't remember his name. I know he was just an antiquities dealer.
Yeah, I'm trying to see that.
Oricaba, powerful merchant. 3 unknown leaders. Oh, Shanor.
It is Shanor. Yeah, Shanor's Antiquities. Yep. Well done. Shanor will receive you, and at your indication of wanting to get in contact, they will ask you.
I'll even add in there delivery of promised item in person.
Okay.
This is a lot to take in.
Sounds like they might be waiting on you. So you might want to hurry it up. I've got a very busy day today. A lot of clients I got to meet with. I've got a meeting in about 15 minutes. I'm not sure I'm ready to get up quickly and see to this as my priority before a couple extra tasks I got to get done today.
I will. I'll let him know that I have one more statue matching the collection that we originally gave him to round out his collection. A gift from Roulette Tinkerton.
An extra donation would be appreciated. Would that be enough? And as they ponder, go ahead and make a persuasion check real quick.
Oh, I have my laptop open. I can do it here. Guaranteed, I'm just going to add a +4 to this.
Is that based on your intelligence or your proficiency?
Proficiency.
Ooh, so it'll increase. Very nice.
Yes, it will. Oh, no, actually, it's my intelligence. They're both +4 right now. So it's based on my intelligence, but I can use it proficiency number of days. What am I looking for? Persuasion? Oh, Jesus Christ. I don't know if it's linked because I'm using my work computer. Make that a 14. Do I want to re-roll it? No, I'll make it a 14. Yeah.
I could maybe shift around some meetings for a delivery of a surprise donation. Just need to store it somewhere. What do we say? 100 gold holding fee.
I'll make it 120 for putting you out of your busy day.
I appreciate that. Let me just go ahead and shuffle the statue back to the back and go amuse yourself in Kirsan for the night.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm already in Kirsan. I'm talking in person to this man. I thought this was over sending.
Yeah, no, sorry. Yeah, a lot of this is over the counter stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll take the final lizard statue that we had in the Tome of the Dragon's Ward, and I will Rasim out into the, well, I'll do it where he tells me to put it. and then I will give him 120 gold. Uh,
Okay.
and are they gonna meet me somewhere, or are they gonna? Am I?
Seems ambiguous. How do you generally entertain yourself in an evening in Kirsan alone?
Oh God.
Don't go nerd out.
So I had plans. I created plans for these things called the Kirsan Thumpers way, way, way back again. That was the first thing I gave to the Orikaba. Honestly, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get some lunch or something, and then I'm going to go out to the exact spot where we fought those bullets,
Mhm.
and I'm going to be half an inch to an inch off the ground, and I'm going to just wander around, specifically not touching the ground, uh, just wander around to see if there are any wild bullets roaming.
Go ahead and make a nature check.
Sure. Yeah, another thing. Oh, I am good at these. I don't know why it keeps doing that. 17.
You currently see no evidence of burrow holes, raised ground, or collapsed ground that suggests subterranean travel. You don't think any are in the vicinity right now. I will afford you with a passive investigation as high as yours. When you eventually return to the city later at night and pass the city guards, you do notice familiar devices clasped onto the hip of every guard at the exterior wall of the city.
Yeah. I specifically the main reason I was out there is like kind of a show of strutting swag. I want to just be like walking in a bullet specific populated area, but not triggering the bullets to come after me is kind of what I was intending.
Yep. Yep. Definitely, you're not triggering their tremor sense for sure.
And then I will at some point just wander back in, and I'll just peruse the markets. I'm not doing anything crazy. I'm just keeping an eye out.
As the markets begin to change at night with more lanterns strung between buildings being lit, arcanely or otherwise, the crowds really come out even more at night, and it starts to somewhat unnerve you that you could easily be overwhelmed if if a gang came out of the shadows or pickpockets about. And as you're wandering through these things, you get kind of shoulder checked by someone, and they just continue walking by, and you feel something in your hand.
I continue walking a little while further, get to just a wall, and I'll put my back up against the wall, and I will peek at whatever's in my hand.
Looks like a sort of disjunct series of lines, scratch marks, and a little dot.
I immediately start stepping up to get an aerial view of the city.
Okay, go ahead and make an investigation check.
I have like Lego dice enabled right now for some reason.
If the scratch marks were intended to not overtly communicate that these are streets and building corners, your brain saw that through that very fast, and you identify a small, what looks like an alleyway door that would probably descend into somewhere, because it's clearly not a storefront environment.
I land like 50 to 100 feet away, and I start approaching, and I give a gentle knock on whatever door this is, and I take a few steps back, and I just wait patiently. Oh man, incredible. And I push forward, and I walk in to whatever is there.
As you walk in, a hooded individual with a hood sort of draping most of their features, you can still see that this individual is clearly a dull gray mockingbird Aarakocra, with a sort of darker discoloration around the face that gives them a impression of like eye black or maybe like a masquerade mask, but it's natural, just discoloration of the plumage, as well as a rather flat, pale beak that doesn't extend very far off their face. I am Zuru. What do you have for donation?
Roulette Tinkerton. And not so much a donation, but a return on investment or a promised gift. And I take out the right one because I am keeping the left one. I take out the right electroglaive, and then I take out a big swatch of like parchment paper, which is the user manual and the name and everything on top of it. And I a return on investment.
Very apt. Their voice changes entirely. Appropriately timed. We were starting to worry. Now listen. If you're sure about this, we're gonna accept you. The thing you need to know is being part of this collection is important. Carries a lot of weight behind it. We have contacts in all the major nations, other than maybe Valara. Comes with a healthy sway of benefits. At a minimal cost of 100 gold per month. Are you willing to pay and enter to be a fledged member?
Oh my god, imagine you say
No,
no.
of course. And as a token of a investment, I will gladly pay first 3 months just up front. No need to wait on that.
We'll no need to hand over the coin. We'll deduce it from your payment.
Oh.
And pulls open a drawer and a large leather satchel, unclasps it, pulls out 1, 2, 3 stacks of 10 platinum coins, and pushes the rest of it toward you.
Did you know you're getting paid?
No. I do not immediately grab it because that's rude. I appreciate that.
Manners here.
I don't truly know kind of official next steps on this. I mean, what I'm doing is I'm gonna keep crafting and creating, and I will certainly prioritize keeping the Oricaba in the loop. I do greatly appreciate you kind of sharing the Kirsan Thumpers with the rest of the guards. I'm hoping they're working out well. This thing right here, gesturing to the glove, bit of a higher end thing. Might not be for the everyday guards. Might be for a bit of a more expensive clientele. But I do greatly appreciate your inclusion and acceptance of me.
Zuru nods in acceptance of your words and slides the gauntlet into a small container suitable for handling it. Quickly shuts the door and opens it again, and it is fully gone.
Love that.
And then he will begin to describe to you and hand you a small piece of paper, availing you of a contact in each capital city of every nation other than Valara, but with the addition of the cities Kiel Odin in the Emerald Forest and Nor Azel at the southern coast of Chimeras. With that contact information, Roulette will be afforded to access the Oricaba's safe houses in those cities for no charge, and utilize their guild hall workstations with access to exotic materials suitable for crafting, professional assistants that would have the duration and cost of any crafting endeavors. As well, you'll receive minor discounts at approved merchant stores. However, the important bits are that you continue your gold payment to them every month, 100 gold a month, as well as complete for them the occasional request every now and then as it is communicated to you.
I uh, uh, express my incredible thanks. DM side question, because I could not find this in my fucking notes. I don't remember what the outcome of it was. The golden dragon egg that we took from the Dwarven King's tomb. I know I identified it. Am I correct that it was a real dragon's egg?
You found no magical identification within that spell that indicated it seems to have been a long dead, dormant, fossilized dragon's egg that was then coated and etched with dragon scales.
Okay,
gold.
that's what I wanted to make sure of, because that's everything I had in my notes. I didn't know if I thought there was something else on there. There was one other thing I wanted to show or give, but I don't remember what it was. No, I think that's it. I think we can end there. Is there anything else I want to give over? Nope. I will express my extreme gratitude. And I'll end by saying I'm excited for maybe someday introducing you to the man who truly made me who I am, my dad. He's twice as smart, 3 times as intelligent, as he'd always say. Truly has that Tinkerton flame in him. Help me make that.
Well, this one would be excited to hear from him someday in the future, my friends. Be careful where you go. Distinctly Mirage's voice.
I love it. Can't wait to hear you do mine.
Holy shit.
And then I will
Take care now, you hear?
incredible. And then I'll say, have a wonderful day. And I will nod again, thankfully taking up the sack of money and the contact list, and I will take my leave.
You have been given 3,700 gold.
What? Holy shit.
Sure this is mine?
Oh my god. You're flush.
Holy shit.
As Roulette completes that endeavor, we're very nearly on our end time for the session. We've jumped around a little bit in here. Does anyone have something they really want to make sure we get in today before we conclude, before we resolve additional resolutions next session?
Super quick, and this will lead into Tim's Jiri's thing. I will go back to the I almost said Athenium. The auctioneer. No, what the fuck is his name? Shanor.
Sure.
What is the name of the store he runs?
Shanor's Antiquities.
Antiquities. I'll go back to the Antiquities store, and I will look around specifically for. I know he has like weird shit. I'm looking for any sort of weirdly shaped shield. That's not just a typical like circle.
Okay.
It doesn't need to be a thing today, but like
we can
look for that
over. Yeah.
Because then I will bring that back and share that with Jiri as part of figuring out tinkering and crafting the armor shield thing that Jiri wants to do.
Got it. I kind of want to hear from everyone just to make sure. Is there anything else? So, Tim and Alex, haven't heard from you guys in a little bit. What else might you want to make sure we address today, if not next time?
I have something for next time. I wouldn't want to address it today because I think it would take too long, but it requires the help from Roulette and then the casting of a spell. So I guess like next time, if I could retroactively talk about what I would want to do over a couple weeks of time, then that's cool.
Perfect. We will resolve
in response to the legend lore inquiry.
In response to legend lore, which may include some work week effort. Sounds good. Yeah, because so far, I mean, you learned a little bit about your staff, but you functionally haven't committed your time to anything necessarily. So you've got some real opportunity to still do so.
Yeah, and I do have a clear thing that I would want to do, so I'll have that ready for next time.
Okay, perfect. We will be ready for that. I can't tell if Tim's still there, just off camera.
Oh yeah, I'm right here.
Perfect.
Yeah, I just want to help Roulette with the crafting. Our plan was to make some like gladiator style
Yep.
arm.
Like a
pauldron
sort of full
arm.
arm van brace type deal.
Yep. So I will spend however much time I need helping Roulette. I will be covering all the costs as well. So
Okay.
and I probably want to add some additional gold into it. So this thing's gonna be like gold plated, like decked out for sure.
Cool.
So
Do we want to hop zooms real quick just to fine tune final stuff real quick? All right, so we will make sure to tackle you and Roulette's creation of whatever Van Brace full arm shield situation you want. Bit of homework for you as well is consider, you and Telperion both, and with me to a degree, consider whether the Blade of Lucent Jade and Mooncrest Sword are really being fused together, and or what Jiri wants incorporated to charge your blade if it's not the Blade of Lucent Jade. So you guys
yeah, we're
might
gonna
have
to
some decision-making
see,
process there.
Yeah, what's available to us? I don't even know. But yeah, up to Telpiron. If he wants to go through with that plan, I'm down. But we'll just have to look and see what items we have in our inventory that are available to swap out with the blade.
Okay, and then Telperion, I won't overtly communicate to you what that outcome result might be, but Jiri, with your new somewhat custom identify spell as part of your feat, I will work with you a little bit more transparently on what functionalities might be possible based on the components you consider adding into the sword. So you'll have a little bit as part of your identify, and it being part of your feature. We'll make sure you have a little bit more say on the end result than someone who has a discrete, separate item. So just things we can continue to work on over the next couple weeks before we meet again.
I'll just be also, well, if allowed, I'd want to talk to my some of my fellow friends about the items that I'm looking at over at the Athenium to get their input on. But then
absolutely.
My last week, I do have 1 week to spend left. So if I go the Jiri route, I assume that might take some time. If we don't go that route, then I might like do a little investigating or maybe make a couple potions or something, or nothing crazy big with that last week. So I'll think of, but I probably would want to try to get one small attainable thing.
Okay. And Roulette, I know we're considering some possible potion poison making of your own work week, so we can work through that in preparation too. And then how about you, Toby? Anything on the docket that you want to make sure we hit next week and next time?
Nope. I'm just excited to learn what I learned.
Okay. All right.
I do have a question. Is that check that I made with the Athenium, is that like expended?
Yeah, I mean, you've sort of built a certain threshold of reputation with them, which availed you of 3 items for consideration right now. In the future, it's possible for additional reputation to maybe be built.
I was just curious if like I attained a baseline that will stay there now. Okay, yes. Cool.
Yep.
Sweet.
Yep. Cool. All right, that's all I got for today. Thanks for everyone making the shorter session possible. I know we don't meet for a couple weeks because these guys are going to Japan, so we'll check in over the next couple weeks to see when next session feasibility is. Excited for that, but otherwise
June 30th, I think, is what it would be. That Sunday is the next
available
when
Sunday.
we get back.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, I'm sure we'll